Why I think I fight. Do I enjoy it? No. Do I enjoy training? No. Do I enjoy cutting weight? No. Am I nervous? Yes. Do I think to myself, what am I doing? Yes. Completely. Unfortunately, it's one of those things you're either born with or you're not. And the only way I can explain it to try and make it make any sense is that if I'm not doing something which is either extremely difficult or extremely stressful, I'm in a perpetual state of crippling boredom. I can't explain it. I see other people live their lives and they're like, oh, I can't wait for the weekend because I want to watch this movie. I think, who cares about a movie? You're looking forward to the weekend for a movie? Looking forward to the weekend to get drunk? Like, these things to me are so mundane. They mean nothing. And if I don't fight, if I'm not in a situation where I'm stressed or worried or concerned, I'm just perpetually bored. And boredom's crippling. If you're an intelligent person and you've got a good brain on your shoulders, you can't just sit there bored, you know? So most smart people take the academic route to avoid boredom. They learn, but that's never really interested me either. Although I've always been an intelligent guy and I've always done well academically, it never really interested me. And then I see people climb Mount Everest or jump off buildings or do base jumping, or the guy who jumped from space. People think, what's he doing? He's crazy. I understand. Because some people can't live normal lives. Some people cannot just function 9 to 5 office job, get drunk at the weekends. That is not for some individuals, and it's not for me. So I have to find something which keeps me physically tired enough to stop me going AWOL, and mentally tired enough. And I've chosen fighting, because without this, when I'm not in training, I wake up every day and think, okay, what am I going to do today? It's 9 a.m. on a Tuesday. I'm bored. Everyone's at work. I'm bored. And I'll end up doing something crazy. I'll either end up drunk or on the Eurostar, or, you know, it's just a random lifestyle, because I'm constantly looking for never ending entertainment, and it doesn't exist. I think the only thing that could stop me fighting is if I had enough money to constantly entertain myself. Unless I'm a billionaire, I need something that keeps me focused and keeps me occupied in life. With fighting, I have to train twice a day and I have to train hard. And the stress it brings in every aspect can replace fun. And my mind is occupied. It occupies me. It's the only way I can try and explain it. It occupies me. And I could never stop doing this even if I lost 100 fights, because I'm not built to live a normal existence. I can't do it. I couldn't just have a kid with some girl and sit at home and work a little bit and relax. I've never relaxed my entire life. I don't know what relaxing is. It's just not me.
I was a 4-time kickboxing world champion. For 12 years, I trained 5 hours a day, 6 days a week. And I was motivated to train probably about 25% of the time. The rest of the time I went because I am disciplined. You don't feel like going through that shit on a Wednesday morning when you wake up, but you have to do it because you're disciplined. You're either a disciplined individual or you are not a disciplined individual. There's a difference between want and want. And I say this all the time. People say to me, I want to be rich. And I say, okay, well, I want to be able to ice skate, but I don't want to be able to ice skate enough to go learn how to ice skate because I can't be bothered. I mean, surely if I could click my fingers and be a figure skater, I'd click my fingers. Who wouldn't? But I don't want to actually go train because I don't want it enough. And this is the exact point with money. Everyone wants money put on their lap. If you truly wanted money, you wouldn't be able to sleep until you fucking had it. And this is the point. Because when I had nothing, I couldn't be distracted. You couldn't distract me from what I wanted. That's who I am. If I want something, I'm going to get it. I do not need to be motivated. I'm a disciplined person. If I allocate X amount of time to work, I'm going to do it. But that is the bottom line answer. It's discipline. You're going to have to work when you don't feel like working. That's how it's going to have to be, or you're never going to be anything. One of the only things in this world you can control is your state of mind. You can't control the weather. You can't control other people. You can't even control your health. You might get a brain hemorrhage, or you might get hit by a bus. One of the very few things in the world you have genuine control over is your state of mind. You decide if you're a disciplined person. You decide if you're a happy person. You decide if you're a depressed person. These are things that in real time you can affect in your brain. This is all you can control on earth. If you can't control that, then you're just a feather in the wind. And life's going to blow you around, and you might land somewhere good. You might land in dog shit. Nobody knows. Your state of mind is what you should be able to control. If you can't wake up and say, today I'm making some money, and actually try your very, very best, and actually stay dedicated to that task. If you can't do that, you're fucked.
Every man understands you shouldn't be complaining about things you cannot change. You have to play the cards you're dealt. To be born a certain height and then to sit there and go, what do I do? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You become the best version of yourself, just like everyone else does. Nothing about the height is in and of itself enough value for me to be a valuable man. As a man, you build your value. You are born with the cards you're dealt. Sure, it'd be ideal. Look, I'd love to be 7 foot tall. I'm not. So it's the same argument. If you're 5'2", you need to become rich, strong, and funny, and charismatic, and interesting, and witty. If you're 6'4", you need to become rich, strong, well-connected. It's the same game. So to sit there and complain about it is asinine. All of you have a handful of it. I don't think you understand that you could have been in a car crash at 4 years old and lost your legs. Do you have any understanding of how lucky you have been? This is pure luck. There's only luck has kept you fully able-bodied, sitting there, capable of learning and listening and becoming something. You don't really need to be that tall if you're important and rich. And when you walk in the room, you think when fucking Mayweather walks in the room, people give a shit? Fix that frame in your mind. You are viewing yourself as a short man. Stop it. Walk the fuck up and be the man.
You talk a lot about purpose, why we are created as humans and why we are here. Like, what is the purpose of life? Why have we been given life?
I think we're here to struggle and to learn. I don't think we're here to be happy. That's why when we keep going back to the happy argument, I've always found that kind of frustrating and annoying. Yeah. When someone goes, oh, but I want to be happy. Why? Why? Why do you want to sit there and laugh? Like you were happy your entire childhood. That's your happy days. You're allowed to be happy as a kid. It's all over now, right? You're a man. You have responsibilities. I think we're here to do important things, and important things are going to be difficult and they're going to be hard and you're going to get frustrated, but that's what gives you purpose. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to endure pain. Yeah. I think we're here to just see how hard we are to kill. I think that going through terrible things and living through them and coming out the other side is one of the most fantastic things about being human. I think that it's almost like once you understand what life is really about, there's no emotion which isn't enjoyable. The only emotional state which can be seen as detrimental is feeling nothing at all. But if you're sitting at home and you're feeling truly heartbroken, at least you're feeling something, right? And I think that's the whole part of being human. I think we're here to struggle. I think we're here to go through pain. I wake up each day and go, what can I attack? What problem can I solve? And look at history. Why did Genghis Khan wake up and want to conquer the whole world? Why did Napoleon conquer the world? Why did Alexander the Great conquer the world? You just wake up and just say, give me this, give me that. I want all of it. Yeah. There's an army there. They're really big. We're better. It's intrinsic. You need to go and conquer. That's the purpose of life.
Do you believe that God created us? So why did God create us to struggle?
Because if you don't struggle, you don't learn. God created us to learn and understand ourselves and understand other people and understand the world. And what did I say earlier? I said that you don't learn a lesson without pain. So you have to struggle to learn anything. There's only two ways to learn things, the hard way or the harder way. If you're smart, you can learn the hard way. But in my experience, 99% of the planet only learn the hardest possible way. If you want to feel happy inside of yourself and you want to feel content and you want to feel stable inside of yourself, you need to live true to God. And I'm not saying you can't drink a little bit of alcohol or not party or not have a little bit of fun, but you have to be a good person. I don't believe in the societal paradigms in which they have tried to construct this idea of happiness. I don't believe or subscribe to the way that happy and sad is currently understood by the masses of the population. I think if you are anything less than absolutely distraught, you are happy. You're a version of happy. It's like saying gray is a version of black, right? No matter how light the gray is, you can still call it a version of black. And unless you've gone through an event, which hopefully doesn't happen too often, like the passing of a family member or something that's truly destructive and detrimental to your mindset, besides these events, which hopefully only happen a few times in your life, you should be happy. If you're not crying or paralyzed in silence due to the absolute magnitude of a detrimental circumstance or the absolute magnitude of a negative event, then you are a version of happy. So I am always happy is the short answer. I don't believe in not being happy. I don't believe in not saying to myself I'm happy. I'm always a version of happy. And this idea of chasing happiness and always being concerned and preoccupied with how happy you are is actually the biggest mistake that a lot of people make, I think, in the world today. Especially men who wake up and go, oh, I don't really feel happy, so I need to get happier. And that's how they end up down a hedonistic path of drugs or alcohol or gambling, chasing pleasure. I don't care how I feel.
Yeah.
I don't care if I feel happy or sad. It doesn't really affect what I do each day. I do the exact same things. I act the exact same way. I don't care. I don't put weight to the significance of the emotion. So I always consider myself a happy person, but if I woke up and I was slightly less happy one day than another, it wouldn't affect anything I do and I wouldn't put any relevance to it. Yeah. I'm human and that's life. So yeah, am I any happier now that I have hundreds of millions of dollars than before I was broke? Not really, but I was never unhappy. I'm the same state that I was then that I am now. I have work to do and I will do it. It's as simple as that. Well, also there's no light without dark and there's no joy without pain. You can't have a rainbow without a little rain. No matter how hard you chase pleasure and happiness, there's going to be dips and troughs in between. There's going to be come downs and downtrends. And you're going to have the juxtaposition between that time you were laughing your head off and acting giddish like a child and the time that you feel depressed as such. And I think it's much better to just adopt a very disciplined, stoic mindset. I'm always the same base level of happy regardless. If I lost all of my money today, I would be the same happy. Mm-hmm. If my net worth quadrupled, I'd be the same happiness. But as long as I'm alive and the people I care about and love are alive, and as long as God gives me the honor of doing my duties and providing for the people I care about, as long as I get to wake up and know that there's a whole bunch of people in the world who need me and I get to work hard to please them and do good for society and good for the world, then I'm a vessel of God and I'm happy enough to survive. That's all I look at it as. I don't ever consider how do I feel. That doesn't cross my mind. I have things to do. I'm too busy. I have things to do every single day. I have very important things to do, and how I feel really is not going to affect how I complete those tasks. Motivation isn't real. Everyone says this. Motivation is not real. Discipline's real. I do not feel like training, but I still train because I'm a disciplined individual. You don't get to go through life only doing the things you feel like doing. So this is down to you, my friend. And listen, you may feel fired up for 10 minutes after this little talk, but you're not going to feel fired up forever. You need to put systems in place. You need to get discipline. You need to get an atmosphere of people around you who are going to keep you accountable and not make it easy for you to continue to be a fucking nobody. And then you're going to fix your life. Otherwise, you're going to stay a nobody.
You're tired. You don't want to work. You want to go to sleep and just relax. You do it anyway.
That is the most basic imperative of the masculine frame, which has been destroyed in real time. They are trying to convince you that you should act how you feel. You should show more of your feelings. If you feel this way, you should show it. If you want to cry, cry. What I'm saying is the reason they're trying to bring out emotionality in you is because of exactly what Myron said. Most of the time, you don't feel like doing the things you're supposed to do. But the true masculine frame throughout history was doing the things they didn't want to do, but they knew they had to do because they had honor and duty. That's what honor and duty means. Do you think the men on the Titanic wanted to stay on the fucking Titanic? No, we're men. We have to stay. We're scared, but we must. It's our duty to let the women and children on the lifeboats. Yeah. This is masculine duty. A good man controls himself. I have absolute self-control. Emotional control is absolutely and utterly important as a man. I'm saying that you need to understand as a man, there are certain principles under which you act regardless of how you feel. I can wake up in a terrible mood. Nice. I can wake up sad. I can ache. I can have a busy day, stressed, etc. I will complete the same tasks as if I woke up in a fantastic mood. I'll do the same things because how I feel has no bearing on the things I'm going to do in my day because I have duty to myself and to my bloodline. Because you think there's something wrong with you. You go, well, I lack motivation. I don't have the motivation to go to the gym. Well, here's the news flash. Neither did I. And I still did it. So now what are you going to say? Now you have no excuse, right? Yep. Oh, you're scared to get in the ring. So was I. I still did it. Scared to get in the cage. So was I. I still did it. Being a man isn't about not feeling things. It's about acting the way you're supposed to act, regardless of how you feel. We act. We're men of action. We get things done. So the world got built. All of it. All the men who built the skyscrapers felt scared. They did it anyway. You need to become a man of action. Stop worrying about how you feel and start worrying about what you're supposed to be doing. How about that?
I've always been disciplined myself because I've always lived a disciplined life. I lived in a disciplined household. Like there was no such thing as I don't want to. So even now, if I wake up and I don't want to do something, I don't need someone to tell me to do it because I'll do it anyway. I mean, who wants to run a marathon? Nobody. Who wants to do that? you just do it, don't you? Because, it's the thing you're going to have to do, and you have to blood, sweat, tears. There is a version of the world where you can feel things and really not give a fuck how you feel. Like if I feel sad, it does not change how I act, and it does not change the things I do. If I don't feel like going to the gym, I go to the gym. If I don't feel like working, I will still work. If I wake up in a happy mood and I have a business to run, if I wake up in a sad mood, I have the same shit to do. I'm going to get it done. So where's the importance of it? It's in my mind. That's how I view it. Like, how does that affect what I'm going to do? Well, nothing. It doesn't.
Motivation in and of itself is a scam. I don't believe in motivation. I believe in this. I am not motivated to do the things I'm supposed to do. I don't wake up full of like joy. I have to go to the gym, or that I have to work, or I deal with crap. I don't feel motivated to do them. I'm disciplined. I do them regardless of how I feel. Whether I'm in the mood to do it or I'm not in the mood to do it, it gets done. That's discipline. Discipline's a real thing. Motivation is fleeting. You're never going to be permanently motivated. If you're the kind of person who can only try hard at something he enjoys, then you're going to fail. If you truly want to win, you can't only want to win when you're happy, and you can't only want to win when you're motivated. You're competing against men like me who will perform even when it is raining, not only when the sun is shining. And if you're going to be the kind of person who can only do it in one of those scenarios, you are going to lose. You must be prepared to perform all of the time. I have a lot of people who message me and say, I struggle with motivation. And my answer is simple. Then stay a loser. If you can't find the motivation to not be a loser, then I strongly recommend you just stay a loser, stay in your lane, and stay out of my way. I have no time for people who cannot find the motivation to fix themselves and fix their own lives. I've been the kind of person who will perform 7 days a week. Doesn't matter how I feel. Doesn't matter what's happened. Doesn't matter if I'm happy or sad. Things must be done. And this is the mindset you need to adopt if you want to be a winner.
I think a man should have absolutely no interest in whether he's actually happy or not. If I wake up and I'm unhappy, I will do the exact same things as if I am happy. I will go to the gym the same. I will work the same. How I feel has no impact on how I live my life. I don't think happiness as an index is a healthy view for a man to have on life success. If you're waking up and going, am I happy? Am I not? You're looking at life wrong. I think as of a man, if you put happiness if you move it down the scale, right? And you start looking at, am I successful? Am I competent? Am I achieving things? Am I respected? If you start to look at these indicators of your life, you're going to end up being happier without actually analyzing if you're happy or not. You have to just work. At some point you have to bite the bullet and just work. Working harder is never going to not help. No matter what scenario you're in, working harder is never going to not help you. And it's amazing that I give different versions of the same answer for 99% of the questions I'm asked. Work harder. If you have a problem, whether you're broke, whether you're out of shape, whether your friend dies, whether your girl leaves you, whether you're depressed, whatever it is, working harder is almost always the answer. So you know what you need to do. You need to do it. And what's amazing, again, it's kind of like the antidote. If you take the antidote before the poison, then you never get sick in the first place. If you're always working as hard as possible, if you're always working your ass off and trying to be the best version of yourself every single day, then you never get sick in the first place. You're already working. You're already taking the antidote. So things can't attach to you. They can't get hold of you. Working hard is the antidote to everything. So why don't you just do it in advance? Why don't your life just become work like mine? Why don't you just dedicate yourself to a cause and get up and do what you're supposed to do every single day? I can't stand quitters. So if you're the kind of person who's going to quit because it's hard, I don't even want your energy around me, right? You need the people who don't quit. I don't quit. Every single facet of my life is testament to the fact that I don't quit. I didn't quit. So that's the difference. When it was hard, I did it anyway. That's who I've always been. And if you don't have that kind of tenacity, you're never going to be anything. So I'm indefatigable. I do not give up. I do not get tired. I do not quit. That's what they want. That's what the enemy wants from me. They want to try and win a war of attrition. They want to wear me down and hope I quit and give up. I am not that guy. I'm not that guy. I'm the guy who keeps going. And if you're truly indefatigable in life, and perspicacious, that's my favorite saying, the one I say all the time, unmatched perspicacity coupled with sheer indefatigability makes me a feared opponent in any realm of human endeavor. It's absolutely and utterly true. If you pay attention to the things that are happening around you and you do not quit, you will be a dangerous opponent in any realm of human endeavor. It doesn't matter what you try and do. I'm a man who lives true to God and says what he means and means what he says. And I know the things I say are good for society and good for the world. I didn't put a magic spell on anybody. The reason people listen to me is because they like what I say and they know that I'm telling the truth. That's the reason I am here. I'm going to continue to do that. And there's nothing anybody can do about it.
I can't imagine truly wanting to quit something and not being able to quit. I can't imagine it. Like, when I talk to people who say, I want to quit smoking, I say, when? They go, oh, well, soon. But that means you don't want to quit. You want to keep smoking for a while and quit later. I can't imagine a mind frame or a mindset where I want to do something and can't do it. Because if you have that kind of mind, if your mind is so fundamentally broken that you cannot do with your own mind what you want to do,
right?
You know, like that, then you're just fucked. If you cannot control your own mind, then you are just a feather in the wind of life. Because your own mind is the only thing you can control. You can't control the weather. Right. You can't control other people. You can't even control whether your heart stops beating. You might have a heart attack tomorrow. You can't control anything besides what you think. If you cannot control your own mind, then you go through life with zero control, zero influence. You can't control anything. You're just a feather in the wind, waiting for life to blow you from happy place to sad place to happy place to sad place, completely hoping on the gods to be fortunate to you, because if any genuine discomfort comes your way, you're fucked. It is trained. Like everything else in life, it is trained. So if you find yourself not appreciating what you have until it's gone, then you must blink and cure your brain. If you find yourself unable to focus or concentrate on tasks, you must blink and cure your brain. If you find yourself unable to go and dedicate yourself to something you don't want to do, you must blink and cure your brain. Because all of our minds have been under constant assault for years. The way the mind functions, the way people interact, has changed so significantly in the last 10 years you wouldn't believe. Because everybody's fucking distracted. They're getting distracted by this, distracted by that, watching fucking Netflix, jerking off to Pornhub like fucking jackasses. It's so easy to win if you can control your own mind. But it seems that nobody fucking can. It gets to a point where you finally must accept the reality that your physicality and your mentality as a man are linked. And you cannot be happy and strong in your mind if you are weak in your body. You need to have a strong body to have a strong mind as a man. There's no way to escape it. And that's one of the reasons why I preach so much about training, learning to fight, get in the gym, get bigger, get stronger. You will fix your mind if you fix your body. You should be as strong as you possibly can. We're now teaching the new generation of men that they don't have duty and they can just act on their feelings and act how they feel, and they don't have to act as a man should. Do you know what happens when you get men who just act how they feel? You get school shooters, you get violence, you get rapists. Men who do not control their emotions are dangerous. If you find a man who is stoic, he's not going to hurt people. He's going to sit and think about his actions very carefully, and he's going to be a good man who protects for and provides for his family. You find a man who just acts out on impulse and does whatever he feels like, you're going to find a dangerous man. Sitting here telling men to cry more and act with their feelings and it's okay to feel this way, that way, etc., and have no self-control. That is why we have the problems we have in the world.
Hey, Andrew, so how do I get like a six-pack quick? What's the fastest way to get a six-pack?
Why does it have to be quick? Why does it have to be easy? Why do you think life is all quick and easy? Why can't it be hard and difficult? Why can't you suffer? Because suffering is what gives it value. If everyone had a six-pack and it was quick and easy, then it wouldn't be valuable, would it? If everyone walked around with a six-pack and they got it easily, then no one would give a shit. The whole point is that it's difficult to get. Value is linked to difficulty. If you want something that is valuable, you need something which is difficult to obtain. The fact that you just said you wanted it quick and easily shows that your whole mental model is fucked. You shouldn't be thinking about quick and easy. You should be thinking about hard, suffering, pain, going through it. That's what you should be thinking about. This is going to be hard, but I'm going to do it anyway. Because when it is done, then everyone's going to know that I went through something difficult. The bad things that are happening to you are what you need to become the man that you want to be. Someone emails me and says, this has happened to me. I'm like, good. No, what do you mean good? It's terrible. How else are you going to become important? How else are you going to find endless fire to get up and struggle in the face of the competition that's out here in the world? How else are you're going to do all that with a nice, cushy life? If any man's honest with himself, think about the biggest transformative stages in your life. Think about the times you got the most work done. It was a bad part of your life. You were heartbroken, or, you lost a house, or broke, or whatever. That's when you did shit. When everything was fine, when the woman's still sucking dick, the mortgage is paid, dinner's on time, it's kind of doop-de-doop-de-doo, little by little, do a little bit of work, do a little bit of relax. But the big events come from trauma. This is it. So it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code to climb the mountain. So when I get a message from whoever and he goes,
My wife left me. I'm devastated. I say, I understand. I completely understand how hard it can be to lose a woman that you've given your entire life to. And you've done so many nice things. And then because of one thing you did, her innate and absolutely insane level of ungratefulness has turned her bitter, and she now talks to you like she hates you over one thing you've done after thousands of efforts showing how dedicated you are to her. And even now that you're prepared to die for her, she doesn't give a shit about you. I understand that pain. But my answer is, good. It's still good. Now take all of that pain, and instead of emailing me, do this.
We live in a comfortable world now where people think, oh, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But you know what? To some degree, it does matter. It does matter, and I'll tell you who it matters to. It matters to your soul, and it matters to God. I stand in the mirror with a pure heart. I know I am the best version of me that could possibly ever exist. I know that God is proud of me. There's nothing that God hates more than sloth and laziness. If God were to create a man, and that man were to sit around and do fuck all, God will frown upon you. It's why you're never lucky. If you're listening to this and you think I'm never lucky, I'll tell you why, because God dislikes you because you're fucking lazy. Start to work. Start to show God the beauty of his own creations. You'd be amazed how lucky you'll become. Nice. God is unhappy with these people. And inside their hearts, they're unhappy. We talk about depression, anxiety, all those things you mentioned earlier on this podcast. That comes from self-loathing. You loathe your own weakness. You loathe your own laziness. This is what all of these things are. I don't feel depression. How can I feel depression when I'm the most powerful version of me that I could ever fucking be? How can I feel depression when I could squeeze my own hand hard enough to break my own bones? How can I feel depression when I've smashed and destroyed 68 people's faces in front of me, men who thought they could test me in fair combat? How can I feel depressed? It's impossible. Do you understand? Every fucking day, I don't feel like doing things that I still do. It's called discipline. It's called being a man. It's not about feeling like doing it. If you only do things you feel like doing, you know what you end up doing?
What?
You end up sitting around with a belly, drinking soya fucking latte bullshit. That's what you end up doing if you only do what you feel like doing. You have to wake up and say, I don't feel like training, but I must train. I will stop being a loser. I will follow the word of Tate. You need to do what you're supposed to do, not what you feel like fucking doing. Okay. That's the difference between a man and a fucking child. You do not become a man doing what you feel like doing. You become a man doing what you're supposed to fucking do. The men on the Titanic didn't feel like dying that day. It's your duty. It is your duty to not be a fat piece of shit. But you fucking it up because of a lack of motivation.
The world is hyper competitive. If you're going to be a man who's going to sit and say, I'm just sad, you are always going to lose in competition to men like me. No. And there has to be losers for there to be winners. I am tired of sympathy. Sympathy doesn't work for anybody. I'm not going to sit here and be sympathetic for people who say they're too sad to try hard and be their best. Guess what? Perhaps I was sad every time I did exactly what I was supposed to do and trained anyway. Perhaps I was afraid when I fought anyway. Perhaps I was tired when I worked anyway. This is how you get ahead in life. I don't have a fucking ounce of sympathy for these people who sit here and say, well, I feel this way, so I can't. Then don't do it. Stay down there. The winners are at the top, and the winners at the top don't give a shit about how they feel. We wake up and we perform regardless of how we feel day after day. So if I'm going to ignore my own feelings, I'm certainly not going to take into consideration anybody else's. Yeah. Why am I going to ignore how I feel and make sure I'm constantly performing regardless, flawlessly, and then sit and go, oh, but he doesn't feel good, so he's allowed to fuck up. No, you are not. You're not allowed to fuck up to your ancestors or to God or to yourself. You have to perform. Baseline of masculinity as a whole is the thing that makes a good man is that he does what he doesn't want to do. He doesn't want to work and he works anyway. He doesn't want to go to war and he fights anyway. He doesn't want to get up, he gets up anyway. That's the whole point of it. We didn't want to die in the Titanic. Guess what happened? We died in the Titanic. You can't sit there as a man and say you don't feel like it. You're not allowed to not feel like it. You're supposed to do it anyway, regardless. Yeah. So when a man sits there and says, oh, but you don't understand, I'm struggling with motivation. If you are struggling with the motivation to be a winner, then stay a fucking loser. No problem. Stay a loser. Don't care. Because in my circle, there's no losers around me. Your energy is disgusting. I find it revolting. I don't like weakness around me, even near me. Even people coming up saying hello to me. If you're depressed, don't even shake my hand. I do not have time for losers on any regard. Winners only. I find it amazing there are people out here today who are going to sit and say, oh, I'm sad. I'm too depressed. I don't want to work hard.
Do you understand that only 200 years ago, there were peasants out working a field, starving, surviving the Black Death, surviving the plague, struggling to exist just to reproduce so that 200 years later, you can be the end of their bloodline for you to sit on your ass and do fucking nothing. Like, you're a fuck up. You're fucking up your entire bloodline of your entire ancestry. You owe these people things. They went through hell for you to exist. You have a debt. You have a duty to pay. You have to be the best possible version of yourself. And the same to God. God loves people who try. God loves people who work hard. It's amazing if you try your very best all the time, what God will give you. He'll give it to you, anything you want. If you actually try. Not convincing yourself you try, actually try. They're different things. I do not feel like training, but I still train because I'm a disciplined individual. You don't get to go through life only doing the things you feel like doing. Do you know who gets to do that?
Women.
Beautiful women. Beautiful women get to do what they feel like doing. As a man, you have to do the things you're supposed to do. Because what we said earlier is absolutely true. It's player versus player, my friend. Now, if I wake up, I've already got this massive head start over you in life. Nearly every genetic gift, plus all my finances, plus my network. And I wake up and I decide, even though I don't feel like working, I'm going to work my ass off. And you wake up way down there, beyond, and you can't be bothered to work. What chance do you have against men like us? You don't stand a chance. You can't get the girl. We'll take the girl off you. We'll bankrupt your ass. We'll kick you out your house. You name it. You don't stand a chance. Now, if you're going to wake up and look in the mirror and understand that you're absolutely not really crushable, that you're a rabbit and that lions exist, and that's not going to motivate you to do something about it, then you're a lost cause. And there's no point asking us a question. You know exactly what you need to do. If you want to stay killable, then stay killable. But I can't live that way. I would refuse to live that way. It's a disgrace to my bloodline. It's a disgrace to my parents who struggled to raise me for me to be anything other than the best version of myself. That's honor. I have honor to my last name and to my ancestry. It would be disgusting for them all to have fought saber-toothed tigers so I can wake my lazy ass up, jerk off all day, and ask on YouTube how I can stop being a fucking loser. You understand where I'm coming from?
No, 100%.
So this is down to you, my friend. And listen, you may feel fired up for 10 minutes after this little talk, but you're not going to feel fired up forever. You need to put systems in place. You need to get discipline. And like Justin says, you need to get an atmosphere of people around you who are going to keep you accountable and not make it easy for you to continue to be a fucking nobody. And then you're going to fix your life. Otherwise, you're going to stay a nobody. I am absolutely and utterly a believer in hard work. I'm a proponent of hard work. I have all this money and all I do is work. My entire life is work. This podcast is work. I'm getting in the car and going to another meeting, work. I'm going to fuck a bitch. That's work. I want to go to the gym so I'm in good shape, work. It's all work. My entire life is work. And people don't want to look at life that way. They want to talk about work-life balance and being lazy and all this crap. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in if you want to win, you have to outcompete the man who's prepared to do nothing but work. It's player versus player. If you're going to sit there and go, I don't want to work more than an hour a day, well, the guy who does want to work more than an hour a day is going to beat you. And no matter how smart you are, there's always a smart dude who's doing the same smart work you are for more hours than you're doing it. That's just the nature of the game. I believe there's only 3 reasons people are not rich. One of 3 reasons. They're either stupid, arrogant, or lazy. Stupid is actually the smallest category. People think, oh, there's a lot of stupid people. There are, but I know a lot of stupid people with a lot of money, right? There's so much money in it. To be too stupid to generate money, I think is less than 5% of the population. We're genuinely too dumb to ever make a good wage. Then you have arrogant and lazy, and these are the 2 most common. Lazy because people just, but I need time to myself. But it's the evening. Or, it's hyper competitive. There are people who do not need times to themselves. There's an Indian in Islam, or there's a guy in Islamabad who'll do your job online for $3 an hour and he doesn't sleep. You're going to lose, right? So if you're going to be lazy in any regard, you have to understand there are people like me who are billionaires who work 18 hours a day. When I finish this, I get into my car and I open my laptop and I work on my way to my next appointment. And then I'm going to work all night till the day I go. When I go to sleep, I close my laptop and I'm asleep a minute later. I work. That's all I do. So lazy is a big problem because people go, but I just want to relax. If you just want to relax, that's fine. But you're competing against people who just don't want to relax and you're going to lose. And the last, and I'd say that's around, a lot of people have that element to them. A lot of people are lazy. That's about 50% of people. But the main reason people are not rich is because they are arrogant. 50% of people are brutally arrogant. And I'll give you an example. I have a school where I teach people how to make money online. It's called The Real World. It was called Hustles University. It's now called The Real World. TheRealWorld.ai. You can see it at CobraTake.com. I sit here as a billionaire and I sit and say, I will teach you how to make money online. Anybody, 18 modern wealth creation methods. It's $49 a month value. And people will sit there in their brutal arrogance and as a brokey with no money and go, yeah, but can he really teach me? I have everything you've ever fucking dreamed of. I have all the money. You have nothing. And you're so arrogant that you believe you know more than me or that you can do it without me or that I don't know how to teach you. The arrogance of people is truly mind-bending. If you know so much, why are you broke? You obviously don't know. If I want to learn how to box, I wouldn't walk into a boxing gym, find a guy who can box and go, yeah, you know, not bad, but can he really punch? Like, this is how people think when it comes to money. You guys are all successful enough. You can sit there and say, look, I do X, Y, Z. I have X, Y, Z. You don't have it. So do you want to learn how to play piano from the piano teacher, or do you want to sit there as an arrogant brokey? Most people are brutally arrogant, and you can sit there and you can try and help them, and they're just so arrogant. They think, oh, I can do it myself, or I'll work it out myself. I don't need help. And it's arrogance, and it keeps them at the bottom. Everything great that's happened to me in my life, someone taught me. I had a kickboxing coach. My dad was my chess coach. You get taught things. To sit there and think you're too good to learn. Well, this is the problem. Most people are broke. Most people are broke because they're arrogant, bro. It's the truth. There's nothing to do with how stupid they are. They're just arrogant people. When I was broke, I couldn't sleep. I don't know how there's broke people out here sleeping just fine at night. Going, oh, you know, inflation's 20%, gas prices are 6 times, everything on the news is a lie. I never stand a chance of ever getting rich. Where's my pillow? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I go to bed at night as a teenager and think, I looked it up on the internet. It was a Honda Civic Type R. I wanted one. It was 38,000 pounds. I had no money. I had less than 50 pounds in my bank account. Couldn't afford it. Then I looked up how much a Ferrari cost. 210,000 pounds. And I said to Tristan, my brother, I was like, there are people with 210,000 pounds for a car. And he's like, yes, so? I'm like, no, not so. How? If I worked my job for 6 years and saved every penny, if I walked to work and didn't eat, I couldn't buy this car. How are people doing this? I couldn't sleep at night when I was broke. I knew that everything was a lie. I knew the Matrix was lying to me. I knew I had to find a way out. I was sitting there going, I refuse to live my human years and be some second-class citizen peasant when there's people out here who get to do whatever the fuck they want. I couldn't tolerate it, and I was so uncomfortable that it gave me the motivation I needed to escape. But the people who go, oh yeah, nice Ferrari, yeah. Back to the TV. Dummies. Losers. And the thing about the world is, we need losers. I'm not mad at losers. If that's the reality you've chosen to live, you get one spin in this version of life, and you decide you want to be a loser, that's fantastic, because my cars need cleaning, you know, a hotel room needs cleaning. I have a party with all these beautiful women that's a bit of a mess. Please, go pick it up. Somebody needs to do that shit. I ain't gonna fucking do it. If I had to walk into a hotel room and clean up after some other man's party, I guarantee you I'd do whatever it fucking took to become rich so I didn't have to do that shit. But you want to do that for 20 years? Thanks, friend. Someone's got to flip the fucking burgers. Someone has to make the fries. I want a Happy Meal now and again. But I don't feel sorry for you people because you fucking deserve it, because it's a decision you made. You made that decision. If you're sitting at home and you say, I don't want to be a loser, you know what to do. I told you how to escape the Matrix. CobraTake.com. You can join. I'll teach you. But if you're going to sit there and go, nah, maybe this guy with hundreds of millions of dollars is trying to scam me out of 25 pounds. All right, smart ass. Have fun at McDonald's. Get fucked. I have no sympathy for these people. Zero. And my basic premise is that I refuse to believe in things that take power away from me. If you are in a haunted house and you believe in ghosts, you're scared of the haunted house. If you're in a haunted house and you don't believe in ghosts, you're just in a house and you don't care. So I don't like the idea when someone explains to me the idea of one day waking up and being miserable and not wanting to live anymore, and it's nothing to do with my circumstances and I have no power over it, and no matter how good my life is, I'm still going to feel terrible and I'm going to want to die. That's not an idea I subscribe to. Yeah, Feeling depressed is real.
Yeah.
Depression as a disease, I do not subscribe to. The idea, I believe, that if you feel depressed, something is depressing you, and you should try your best to fix it. You should take control of your life and do your best to fix it. The idea, but they don't say that. They don't talk that. They say depression like it's this magic thing that comes out the sky and it gets in your brain and you're sad no matter what. And there's nothing you can do about it and you need to only take pills. And I think that's a very bad way to look at the world. And that's a bad idea to subscribe to. And if you start to feel depressed, let's say your girl leaves you and you start to feel depressed, but you believe in the idea of depression, you're now going to start diagnosing yourself as clinically depressed, self-hypnosing yourself into hypnotizing yourself into being clinically depressed. And it's amazing how you can speak things into existence. I cannot become depressed because I don't believe in it. That's just who I am as a person. I don't believe in it. I do not believe in things that take power away from me. So and people sit there and they try very hard to convince me it's real, which is actually quite interesting because it's always usually depressed people who sit there and try very hard to defend this idea. If you're so scared, if depression's so terrible, why are you sticking up for it? Why are you fighting so hard to convince me it's such a powerful force? Why shouldn't you be doing the opposite? Shouldn't you be listening to me? Whose team are you on? Like, do you want to be depressed? Like, it's insanity. These people who are so desperate to push this idea. I think that you feel depressed sometimes because you're human. And also, let's look at it. Let's pretend I'm completely wrong, right? We can look at situational depression like you just described. We can talk about brain imbalance and chemical imbalance. We can talk about clinical depression that you get and it's chronic and there's nothing you can do about it. Whatever. Let's pretend all these things are completely true. The best option, the best thing to do is still to get up, be an adult, control your emotions, be stoic, and do the things you're supposed to do day after day. Laying in bed and doing nothing is never going to be the best option. The best option is still to go to the gym, to work hard, to run your business, to be successful. So it doesn't matter. We're talking about the different positions on the chessboard. But if the rules of the game remain the same, regardless of the position, you're still trying to win. You still have to do the same things. So does it even matter at this point? If you come along and say he's depressed because of X and he's depressed because of Y and he's depressed because of Z, and the answer to all of them is still the same thing, then I don't give a fuck why you're depressed. All I know, what I will say as a matter of fact, is this world is hyper competitive, especially as a man. Most men are walking through life and they don't realize that it's constant competition. I was driving here. Even as I was driving here, I was looking out the window. I was looking at all these people just walking around. One of them had a fucking croissant. One of them was dressed like a dickhead because it's London. Thinks he fucking looks cool. Looks like a fucking moron.
We've all seen them.
Yep, moron. Some of the dude just talking shit on the phone. Some of the guy with headphones in, waiting to be fucking murdered, wouldn't even hear it coming. And all these NPCs, I'm just looking at them going, do they realize they're in endless, constant competition? Every single pound they want, someone else wants. Every single girl they want, someone else wants. There are people like me out here. I will destroy, you could get all 30 of them in a room and I will sit by myself and absolutely annihilate them in any single metric. And they're just sitting there just fucking floundering and wandering through life unaware of how competitive the world is.
Well, and whinging how unfair it is.
And whinging how unfair it is. And this is my point. If the world is truly that competitive, you do not have time to be depressed because it's a non-competitive mind state. You could be depressed for X, Y, Z, whatever. I'm not depressed. And I want the money you want, and I want the girl you want, and I want the status you want, and the car you want, and the house you want. And I'm going to get it, and you're fucking not. And that's the bottom line of life. What I'm saying is you're playing a game and it's a competitive game and you need to build a mindset that allows you to be ultra competitive. And if you want to sit there and say, no, I want a non-competitive mindset, then fine. You know what you call people who do not win competitions?
Losers.
Correct. It's just the bottom line of life. And it's kind of interesting because everyone pretends they give a fuck, but nobody does. Especially women. And I know I get attacked for women, but women truly don't give a fuck. If you ask a woman the kind of man she wants, she will never say depressed or sad. Ever. She wants a man who is ultra capable, ultra competent. I've literally had women say to me, you know what I love being around you? I'm like, what? I don't have to think. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I just turn up and like, we just walk in the hotel and everyone, staff do anything we want and the jet's just on the runway and we just land and I'm in this beautiful place and I don't even know where I am and I get to just turn my brain off and it's great. Like, they want someone who is fun and spontaneous and charismatic and successful. They don't have time for sad dudes. They don't care. So the world doesn't care. The world has never given a shit about sad men. So if you're going to sit there and self-diagnose yourself as a sad man, you're going to have a shit life and nobody's ever going to give a fuck and you're going to perpetually lose forever. And that is your decision. I am so scared of being that person. The idea of that terrifies me to the point where I don't even want to accept that as a reality that can possibly exist. I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. I don't care how bad it is. I don't care if the worst, most heinous things I can possibly imagine happen to me. I know that my sadness, my depression will be temporary because I will never stay a loser. It is against my creed. It's not in my DNA. Getting hit and hitting back, that's the essence of life. It's the essence of business. It's the essence of everything. We're all going to fight. You're either fighting the system or you're fighting your own brain. You need to make a choice. The whole reason God put men on this planet is to suffer. And the best men are the ones who suffered the most. I wouldn't be top G if I didn't suffer more than anyone else. You're a better man than everyone else if your life was a mess and it was a hardship, because you're not what happens to you. You are how you react to it. And the best men on earth are men who have had their parents die, their best friends betray them, their girl betray them, thrown in jail, their money stolen, stabbed, robbed. And every time something happened to them, they sat there and they looked in the mirror and said, what can I learn from this? How can I stop this happening? Those are the best men. Those are the men respect. Those are the men women want. Why do women love scars? Look, they tried to kill him and they can't. That's why I want him. The best men suffered. You find a man who's never been through suffering and nobody gives a shit about him. Men don't like him and women don't like him. Men are no good without it.
I don't know what's happened to men in the world today. They have none of this fire. Men used to wake up and walk in random directions with their friends. No Google Maps, no idea where they were going. Just walk in random directions to find people who were different to them and just conquer it. Just take it. Savages. You're supposed to have that inside of you, but enough brains to direct it in the correct direction to not end up in jail. But to wake up and say, no, I'm supposed to live a fantastic life. I'm supposed to be a king. Do you understand that me, Andrew Tate, I'm treated like a king? Restaurants don't even charge me. Oh, Mr. Tate, thank you for coming for free. I don't make reservations. I turn up. I can take anyone's girl off the table. I'm a king. How do you live as anything less? You know, I've done it. Doesn't that bother you? I say these things and there's two kinds of people. People who get angry and they're like, yeah, I need to live like that because I'm only going to live once. And then there's people who hard code. They just code. Oh, yeah, well, you know what? You're an idiot because it's from some anon account. The code person will never get anywhere. Any of you with a brain should just be angry. Like, my car costs more than your life, your house, everything. It's not even all about money. It's about the fact that, to me, the car is nothing. It's like, whatever, cheap, quick, whatever. Who cares? I want one. To you, it's a dream that will never come true. I don't know where the savagery in men has gone. It needs to come back, and it needs to come back in the correct direction. Anger is an extremely powerful motivating force. You should be angry. Too angry to sleep, too angry to be lazy. You don't struggle with motivation when you're angry. When you're furious, you're very motivated.
Anyone who knows me will tell you, if I'm awake, I'm working. I'm awake, I'm working. From the second I wake up, I'm on my laptop to the second I go to sleep. First thing I do when I wake up is check my phone. First thing I do is I work. And if I even do anything fun, I kill all the fun because I make it work. Oh, we have to film it. Oh, get this, need this scene. Filming having fun is not having fun ever. So I make it work. So I only enjoy work. I like to work because I like to feel proud of myself. I don't want to be happy. I want to feel proud of myself. So I rest when I sleep. Sure. If I'm ultimately tired and need a few extra hours in bed every once in a while, yeah. Okay, I'll do that. But I never just have a day. Tristan, back me up. Have I ever said I need a day where I just need a day off? Have you ever heard me say I need a day off? No. Ever. Like I work all the time. I think I've always understood that you can outwork people. Yes. You can truly outwork people, and you can outwork a lot of things about yourself as well. You can outwork a lot of negative emotions. You can outwork a lot of problems in your mind. Like people sit and say, oh, I'm unhappy or I'm sad. You don't have time. How do you find the time in the day to sit around thinking about being sad? Like, you have shit to do. Like I don't have time to sit around and contemplate how I feel because I'm busy. So how do you even have time for that? I've had people sit and give me long trotes on how they feel. And I'm like, where did you even come up with this shit? How long have you been sitting around just thinking about nothing? I don't have time for it. A plane defies gravity with speed. Momentum. That's all it does. If a plane stops moving forward, what happens? It falls down, right? So if you can do the same thing with yourself and your mentality and your problems and everyone else around you, you can outwork everybody. So I've always understood outwork people. And I also think that it's very easy to work hard and win when you're already winning. It's hard to get there. It starts off harder. It's harder to find a way to make money and work all the time and deal with all the bullshit and be at the bottom of whatever industry you're in and not have any reputation, whatever. But if I were to say to all of you right now, for every minute you body spar, you get $1,000. I guarantee we'd still be out there right now sparring. Everyone would be like, all right. So like, once you get to the point, like in my position where I know if I put the time in, I'm going to win, then how can I stop now?
Why do some men do what they do? Why did Elon decide to put rockets in space instead of just retire? He was rich after PayPal. Why?
That's fair.
Why did Alexander the Great need all that land? Why did men go to the Antarctic to try and cross the icy, barren, empty plains and freeze to death to just be the first men who did it? Why do that? You can't even put it on Facebook back then. Who gives a shit? Some men are built different, sir. Some men want to do it because it hasn't been done. And that is the reason why. They do not need much more motivation than the fact they will be first. There isn't much motivation to get on a rocket and be the first man on the moon because the probability is you're going to die or get stuck up there and never make it back. Or even if you do go and you do come back, half the people on earth won't believe you went at all. So why would you do that unless you're just that kind of guy? The fact that you will say to me, but it puts a target on your head shows me that God will never, ever give you my position of influence because along the way, you will have so many chances to be a which you will take, which will prevent you from ever getting to my echelon of capability and influence and power. Because if I gave about having a target on my head at all, I wouldn't be sitting here right now and I wouldn't have the ability to do the things I can do.
That's fair.
So I don't care. I'm doing it because it must be done. There's an opportunity for it to be done, and I can do it better than anybody else.
Your mind and your body and your soul, created by God, have a degree of innate understanding of what's right and what's wrong. And if you go against that, you're going to feel guilt and you're going to feel shame and you're going to feel uneasy and you're not going to feel normal. If you're going to go through life and accept all the garbage they tell you to put inside of your brain, I don't believe you can be happy that way. I don't believe you can be a happy individual walking around pretending that blue is green, pretending that green is red, like staying in your house, being fearful, being afraid, hating your fellow man, believing in these narratives that there's no way you can ever get ahead because you're systematically oppressed and held down by some whatever. And if you absorb all this crap, you're going to be an unhappy person. So I think that either your mind is right and you're happy and you're resisting against the matrix, or you're an unhappy person who's absorbed the matrix programming and you're resisting against yourself. We're all going to fight. You're either fighting the system or you're fighting your own brain. You need to make a choice. Now, I personally would rather fight the system than sit inside of a self-destructive cycle looking at myself in the mirror. Yes, I need my 8th injection. Yes, I'm so sad. Like, that sounds worse to me than being canceled. So you can cancel me. But this battle's here for everyone. And I think if the world understood that and if people understood that, a lot more of them would stand up. Mm-hmm. But they think they can avoid it and they can't.
Everyone's obsessed with the positive experiences, but nobody is chasing any kind of negative experience, which is why, I chose fighting, right? Yeah. But I believe every man should be choosing to do something which is extremely hard, which they hate, which sucks because you don't appreciate life at all without it. The reason people are taking so many drugs, for example, the reason people chase higher highs all the time and the reason they're constantly taking drugs and trying to and drink more alcohol and chasing higher highs all the time is because they don't experience any lows. Mm-hmm. So you always want a higher high, but I promise you the higher high is fine if you balance it with a little bit of low. If you bounce down there for a week and come back to where you were, you're good. Constantly chasing higher highs is hedonism, which ends in one place. Mm-hmm. It always ends in a downward spiral, right? And butt sex, like the whole city of LA.
You're obsessed with butt sex.
Well, hey, bro, it's your city. So you need to stay away from constantly chasing those things. You need to artificially manufacture some lows. I chose fighting because fighting will do that for you. It's hard. It's stressful. You're worried. You train all the time. You're exhausted. You win. You lose. You get hurt. You go hospital. There's a lot of negatives in it, but there's not enough negatives in men's lives today. But you're asking me about jail as if it's a good or bad thing, or if I'm worried about going back. But to me, all experiences are on an even level playing field. Whether it's a good experience or a bad experience, it doesn't matter. There's experiences and then there's comfort. And it doesn't matter if you're a good experience or a bad experience. As long as you're on the experiences side, I'm happy for you. Mm-hmm. My father died, which was a negative experience, but you learn a lot from it. It was an experience. It was a period of life where I was learning and growing. As was jail, as was sitting in the Bugatti meeting, as was buying a jet, as will be conquering the crypto space, as will be getting fucking stabbed when he finally gets hold of me and I can't block it with my hand. That's life.
Every time something bad happens to you, you are your most competitive if you are motivated by it, right? So
getting hit and hitting back, that's the essence of life. It's the essence of business. It's the essence of everything. So absolutely. So sparring is a fantastic way to put it out, but also in every single thing that happens in your life, whenever anything bad happens to you, you can be motivated by it. Tristan said in jail, he quoted the Count of Monte Cristo. Was it 13 years in the Chateau d'If? Then the world is mine. So he's saying, we got hit, we got thrown in jail. And the story of the Count of Monte Cristo is a really long story, but he gets thrown in jail unfairly. He comes out of jail, becomes one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in the world, and then gets loads of revenge on all the people who put him in jail. And Tristan kept saying, 13 years in the Chateau d'If, because he spent 13 years in jail, and then the world is mine. So even when we got hit with a matrix attack, it excited us. We're like, they put us in jail, but now everyone talks about us. Okay, we'll get out one day. 10 years, 5 years, one day we'll get out. How do we take that attention? How do we monetize it? How do we become bigger and better? The people who have attacked me are furious. They made me more famous than ever before. So when we were in jail, when bad things were happening to us, we were literally sitting there planning. Cool. What's going to happen when we're out? Fine. We're going to have a bunch of interviews. I need to be on point. I need to be sharper. Give me a dictionary. I need to learn new words. What's going to happen if I'm going to bring this unfortunate clip up? What am I going to say? What's going to happen if they try to attack me from this angle? You have to plan and you have to fight. You have to be excited by it. So getting hit by things, you can either go, I got beat up. It's so hard. I'm in jail. I miss my family. Or you can go, okay. Give me all the time I need to prepare for my counterattack, my revenge. I'm just getting started. I think that a lot of people don't understand that it's all of the challenges and struggles that's going to make them, it's either going to make or break them. I don't read studies very often, but I was sent a study about stress from somebody. It's probably the best study I ever read. And it's talked about the placebo effect of stress. And it said that they took some of the most stressed people in the world, CEOs, etc. And the ones who believed that stress was really bad for them were dying earlier because of the cortisol inside of their blood. And they said stress was really bad for them. They were having heart attacks. But the ones who believed that stress was good for them and it made them perform, I perform under pressure, stress is good for me, they were living longer. So the same drug inside of their blood, how they framed it inside of their mind had different effects on their body. So from that point onwards, even though I already thought this way, I knew I was the right way. I knew it was the right way to think innately because I've done pretty good in life that way. But this confirmed it. Every time I feel stressed or under pressure, I get excited. I hate to not be stressed. I wake up and I'm like, everything's good. Yes. Like that's just how I am, right? But it's how you adopt, it's how you look at the problems and how you use them to fuel you. So the question was, what's the problem for the average man today? What's the biggest problem? I think there's a whole host of problems. But what you have to do is frame it inside of your mind and understand that all of those problems are going to allow you, give you the fuel, the unlimited motivation that you need to become a successful and beautiful individual if you frame it in the right way. If you take a man and give him a life shielded from problems that he never has any to face, I guarantee you he's terrible at being a man. The best men in the world have gone through shit. That's why women love scars, because it didn't kill you. That's the whole point of it, right? So the best thing you can do as a man is look and go, okay, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard, this is hard. I feel negative because these are all so difficult. I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Let me internalize all of that and turn it into a superpower. Let me become genuinely uncomfortable with my situation in life and go and fix things. Because like I said, the universe is absolutely and utterly very giving. And if you truly hated being in the position you were in, you wouldn't be there very long. Yeah. So I think that the number one problem with the world today and the biggest problem that men face isn't the problems themselves. It's just the way that they are been taught to mentally frame issues. People think when bad things happen to them that somehow they're a victim to the universe and bad things only happen to me and this is so terrible. And they don't understand that bad things happen to everybody. And the most successful person you know had all those probably, maybe even worse, at least the same bad things happened to them. They just framed it differently and used it. That's the difference. So
I'm happy for all of it. Jail, matrix attacks, everything. But I just look around me at all these other men. They have no savagery about them. There's no conqueror spirit, nothing. Genghis Khan had the whole world and still wanted more. As did the Romans, as did the British. Like the days of old, nothing was enough. The world was not enough. All of it. Everything. That's how I function. I see people like, oh yeah, you know, I've got a BMW. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. I could buy 100 new cars today and I still would be like, should have bought 101. You can be very happy and also extremely discontent. I know my life is perfect objectively. I'm realistic to know that I've got one of the best experiences on the planet. I understand that. But I'm also waking up every day on fire to get more, which is how I got here in the first place. Lacking motivation is just lacking the basic masculine essence of a conquest. It means you were born to be conquered. Because you're either conquering or you're conquered. There's no in-betweens in this reality. You're either going to end up a peon in someone else's empire, or you're going to forge your own. Or you can unite with a band of brothers and be a knight or a nobleman within a brotherhood, which is genuinely conquering Earth. Or Tristan, he'll say, oh, Andrew's the top G, fine. But I am the number 2 in command of a huge, vastly wealthy empire. I just don't understand. And I'm saying this randomly as I'm driving. I just look into the cars of people around me, and they're just so cucked. I don't understand how they're living these existences. And even worse, if you're that cucked, if you're that happy with the baseline medium, if you're that happy with the norm, you can't compete against the outliers. Outliers are always going to wake up and say, I'd rather lose everything than not have everything. I can't live this mediocre existence. I'd rather lose everything I have in pursuit. Get rich or die trying. How can you outcompete that man? His mind is there. He's ready for all eventualities, for exceptionalism, an exceptional reality. If you ever find yourself struggling with motivation, you need to understand that you're broken as a man. Men don't struggle with motivation. That's one thing men don't struggle with. Because a man is never happy. He's never content. He's constantly looking to conquer and take over and get more and more and more.
Why did Christopher Columbus get on a boat? I don't know. You tell me.
Valid.
Maybe he should have just sat at home with his money, getting jobs, having sex, and no, have kids. Don't take any risks. Don't put a target on your head. Why do that? You could just have sex and stay home. You could have sat around having a degenerate hedonistic life and nobody would fucking remember his name. Or perhaps he thought, fuck it, I'm going to risk my life and do something different. The target on my head doesn't cross my mind. I don't care. If you're going to work. If you're going to chill, then chill. You don't want to be a dim light that's half on. You want to do one or the other. Now, I find chilling and relaxing, I guess this is my personality, it makes it easy, extremely stressful. There's nothing more stressful for me than trying to not do my work. Because if I'm not doing my work, then I'm thinking about the work I'm supposed to do, and I'm more stressed than doing the work. So everyone goes, Andrew, you need to just chill. I'm like, that sounds terrible. That sounds like the most stressful situation to be in. So all I want to do is work, right? But if you're going to do something, you should be doing your absolute best at it. What's the point in doing anything if you're not going to do your best at it? Right? And it's amazing how things can translate, right? If you do your best in one thing, it's not only the fact that the way you do one thing is the way you do everything, but if you do your best in one thing, it can radiate out across your entire life. That's the greatest thing about being a man. As a man, when you upgrade your life and you become a better man, by extension, you automatically improve the lives of all of your friends, of your woman, of your children, of your community, of your country. We radiate. It's amazing. You can put a little bit more effort in bed with your girlfriend, make her a little bit happier. She'll then cook your breakfast, gives you a little bit extra time to work. Before you know it, you got a Bugatti. Boom. That's how I got mine. But putting in that extra effort pays off, dividends. And you can look at it spiritually. You can be philosophical about it and say that God rewards people who try hard. That's how I like to see it. God is literally looking at all of us, no matter which God you believe in, and he's saying, all these people I've created, who's thankful? Right? Because any one of us could have lost our eyesight to bacteria at age 2. Any one of us. And we didn't. So he's saying, who's thankful enough for what they have that they're trying their absolute best with it all of the time? Because if you do that, he's like, I like this guy. I like him. He's cool. Give him blessings. Give him something. It's amazing what comes your way. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm extremely difficult on myself. And I will say right now, the only thing I've really tried my best at is to stay out of jail. And that's not because I'm afraid of jail. That's because I know my haters are going to seethe when I walk. That's my motivation. If someone were to say to me, Andrew, if you make an extra $1 or if you throw an extra punch, endless blessings will come your way, it would be disingenuous for me to sit and say I couldn't do that.
For me, what I decide what's true and what isn't is the things that allow me to become most competitive. Depression is not real because that allows me to become more competitive. I don't give a shit what paperwork you pull out your ass and which depressed person or psychologist comes in here and tries to explain to me how depression works. I'm more competitive if I don't believe in it, because then when bad things happen to me, it doesn't cross my mind that I might catch depression. It is not even an idea in my me and Tristan are in jail. Everyone's depressed. We're smoking cigarettes and dancing around. We can't be depressed because we don't believe in it. So I'll only adopt ideas that make me hyper competitive. And sometimes that's going to make you very humble. Sometimes it's very competitive to think, shit, I might lose here. Sometimes competitive to be delusional and think you can't lose. If you corner me and there's no way out but to fight and 10 men are going to try and kill me, I'm going to believe I can win. Delusional, maybe, but it makes me most competitive. That's what I believe. I've decided. My brain works that way. Which mindset is the most competitive? Which mindset is the most useful to me right now? Which emotion is the most useful to me? I change emotions. We can all change our emotions if we really want to. You could all think yourself sad. You could all think yourself happy. Everyone can do it, but people take too long to do it. You need 10 minutes. Get good at it. Give yourself a few seconds. And then you have to decide which emotion puts me in the most competitive state right now. And you'll often find that happy is not one you choose very often. It's not a competitive emotion to be happy. Oh, I'm happy. Then you don't get shit done. I like to feel proud all the time. I like to feel, proud is certainly my favorite default emotion. I like to be proud of what I've done and who I am and what I have. Proud is what I always revert to, which allows me to be competitive. I don't have time to think anything that isn't competitive. Anything that makes me non-competitive to me is not true. So I know exactly what you're saying. I could argue that there are universal truths to the universe, and there are. But if we're going to accept the mind frame that we all live in our own truth, which I guess is the way the world's going, then your truth needs to be, okay, which mindset, which belief makes me the most competitive, fearsome individual? And then you should adopt that, and then you should be as successful as humanly possible.